proud of my time management. So I don't know if you know, but I graduate with 168 credits or units.
Wow.
I think it's still like a USD record, I guess. In 3 years, not 4 years. At the time, it's only a 3-year program. I got like 168 credits. I just overload every semester. I took as much course I can during summer and and things like that. But at the same time, I'm also a committee member of Free Student Society. Yeah, so I manage the Mathematics Student Society and the Wind Ensemble, which becomes the University Orchestra now, the Philharmonic Orchestra now, and also the Shaolin Martial Arts. So, yes. Yeah, so I'm kind of proud of my time management to do both academic and social life at the same time during my undergrad. And we do performances like the orchestra, we have annual concerts, and for the Shaolin martial arts, for example, we performed in Kowloon Park in some Kung Fu events, and we also do this lion dancing in the undergraduate halls during Chinese New Year's and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I enjoy both social life and academic life in my study. And I graduated with 11 GPA, out of 12 at that time. I think this will be an FAQ from your students.
Yeah.
So, well, my philosophy is like in Hong Kong, students are used to guess the question types. I don't know, tip type. Yeah, they try to guess the question types. I think it's probably like a cultural thing from their high school exams. So what they do, they look at the past papers and they see what kind of questions are being asked. If some topics are asked very frequently, then they guess that this topic will not be asked again. Or if there's like always calculation problem, then they expect there are many calculation problems at the end. But I mean, of course, this does not really apply, and because the professor switched to me.
Yeah.
And by just focusing on studying part of the materials in mathematics is, again, as I said, very dangerous because you will build some logical gap. So if you are not familiar with one part, then you cannot really connect to other things. So personally, I feel that exam is used to measure how well the students have learned. So that's why when I design my exam problem, I want to test as many topics as possible. As probably you can tell, like really all the results you will learn in school will appear in some form in the exam. But of course, in this way, the drawback is that the exam is too long. So yeah, I actually from some feedback of the students, I think, yeah, most of the time they complain is about the length of the exam rather than the difficulty. Because if you have spent enough time, then those questions can be solved. I mean, it's not like a very difficult question like the homework where you need to find some really nice trick. But keep in mind that, I mean, examination is not math Olympics, right? So examinations are used to test how you learn, but it's not like testing you to, I mean, find tricks in a short time. So you are not supposed to think in the exam. So that's my philosophy. Rather, it really depends on how well you prepare, how much exercises you have already done before, and how much math you really understand. So in the exam, if you score like 50%, then it truly means you are mastering the 50% of the course content, and you can proudly declare that you passed the course. So unlike those like Professor cross style where everything just calculation note and everyone get 90 and something, and you found that you didn't really learn anything. Right. So when I prepare the exam paper, I make sure that 50% of the questions are no-brainers, personally.
No-brainers.
Personally, in the sense that once you see the question, you should be able to identify one and only one approach to the problem and work on it. So you should not have time to think about the question. So as I said, it really depends on how well you prepare, like how many question types you have seen and so on. So yeah, frankly, sometimes luck is involved, of course. I mean, these subjects, calculus are there for like 300 years already. I mean, all the possible questions are really getting exhausted. So if you do enough exercise, you are bound to encounter similar questions by chance. Right? So, well, I mean, I think this is still like statistically consistent because, I mean, luck comes from hard work. So if you just really hard work and find good and correct resources, references, then yeah, you should be able to identify like those questions, and you do not need to spend too much time thinking on those and get like an answer out of it. So yeah, so as I said, the problem is a lengthy exam, and one solution to this, which I think nobody likes in the Hong Kong. So at Yale, for example, we actually have 2 midterms and 1 final.
Wow.
So so yeah, so in that case, actually you spread the topics even further, so you can really test more things in kind of less time. And although I think the schedule in Hong Kong is not
Yeah.
appropriate for that. Yeah, so yeah, the lengthy exam is still probably the start. And furthermore, at the end of this, 2 semester, we switched to online exams, and this
Yeah.
changed the style also because it is bound to be more difficult, definitely, because you are allowed to search online
Yeah.
the answer. So yeah, so to discourage this, you basically want to make sure that students want to be well prepared and do not have extra time to do such a searching, because
Yeah.
you are not supposed to start studying or searching during the exam, but you should be everything already in your mind. And searching is only for emergency when you really need something that you suddenly forgot, but not something that you try to do during the exam. Yeah, so that's the I think the experience for preparing the exams, and how about correcting them. Spitting blood, I guess. Well, I would say like my thought is that the time management is bad for some students. So in 1023, we have the real in-class exam in 1023, right? In the
Yeah.
midterm.
Yeah.
And I actually saw someone working on question 1 for 2 hours before even starting 234, which is kind of, I don't know. The questions are not ordered in difficulties in the exam. So students should look through the paper first and then identify the easy part. When I grade the exams, I saw that some students just skip the last question completely because they don't have time to even read them. They don't even have time to attempt them. But like, for example, the first A and B part are actually super easy. They can just gain like 3 points, 4.5 points from those, but they just leave it blank, which is good for the TA because we don't need to grade. But it's kind of disappointed that I thought Hong Kong students are used to this kind of exam techniques, so they should be good at time management when they do exams. Yeah, so I don't know. And also one philosophy is that in the solutions to the exam should not be overly complicated, because it is expected that you can complete the exam in a reasonable amount of time. So sometimes people complain that maybe they saw a question and they found like 2 approach and they are afraid to choose which one is the correct one, because one approach may lead to nowhere. But if you use a wrong approach, due to the design of the question, you should get a pretty ugly derivation pretty soon, and you should immediately stop that and try the other approach. So I think this kind of like exam techniques, but students just try to break through these very ugly derivations and spending a lot of time writing like half a page of calculations for like a 2-point session, which is like, it's just a wrong exam techniques, I think. Yeah. And also there are like true and false questions, or some questions about finding counterexample and things like this. This should be, no-brainers, because they really test concepts. And if you understand the materials of the math, then you are not only understanding the results, but you should always ask yourself, when the results will be wrong, what can go wrong if some conditions are missing, right? In mathematics, you have some conditions and then you derive some result. Then you should always learn by asking yourself, if some conditions are missing, why do this prove, or why do this result does not hold? And in this process, you will obtain a huge collection of counterexamples that will help you better understand the concepts. And in the exam, where you can immediately produce like trivial counterexamples that the statement is wrong. and not just searching online at that time. So yeah, so these are some kind of advice, examination advices. But yeah, the results so far is a little bit under my expectation. I guess like the mean is like 30 or 40. I expect at least 50. I mean, if the mean is 50, then I think the result is good. But yeah, so far I think I still have to improve, of course, my examination design and so on. But yeah, I hope the students can also learn from these advices
Yeah.
and be better well prepared for the exam.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, if you attend my class, then you probably know who's my favorite character is a Psyduck. We consider that as a character Psyduck from Pokemon. But well, I mean, yeah. So how do I develop the interest in anime? So I mean, you watch anime as a kid, that's for sure. And actually, I also learned Japanese, not because of anime, but because of the Pokemon game, the Game Boy thing. So at that time, I mean, I occasionally watch anime, but not that much. So I really developed this interest when during the graduate school. I mean, I mean, mathematicians are lazy. So when we do graduate school, we have classes also, but it's usually like only Tuesday, Thursday, and then like the other days are quite free, and you just stay at your home and reading books and papers. But you cannot do this 24 hours, right? And I mean, during weekdays, I mean, your friends are also not free. I mean, they are, as you know, my friends are like undergraduate friends, so they have their own courses and things. So yeah, during weekday, you don't have really much to do, and yeah, so you watch anime a lot. Yeah, and yeah, online and so on. Yeah, so that's how you, that's how I get to this anime business. And then when I go to Japan, I mean, it's even better because I have TV, so I can just watch live.
Yeah,
and
it's more
also
convenient.
and also learn Japanese at the same time. Yes. Well, I mean, there's like the three greatest scientists in anime history. So they overlook my research work in my office. So you have I don't know if I can share here. So you have Makisa Kurisu from Steins Gate. So probably people know about him. And Haibara Ai from Koran. Yeah, so I mean she's a scientist definitely. And Hakase from Ichijo. Yeah, so I consider those are the three greatest scientists in anime history. Female scientists in female history. And yeah, maybe actually I have a photo, so maybe you can see in my Facebook. But yeah. So when I ship my things back to Hong Kong from Japan, it took quite difficulty to hack them. Yeah, so it's kind of my collections before I come back to Hong Kong, and after that I got a lot more. Yeah, so I basically how to say price myself to just buy figures when I do conference in Japan, I guess.